let's take a minute and just look at what an argumentative essay truly is and what an argument in the academic sense is. Your assignment that's due Friday at midnight involves you creating an outline, which we've talked about, and a short argument. And so we'll talk a little bit more about what I mean by argument. Argument or persuasion in the academic world is kind of similar, but when we think of an argument, what do we normally think about? Most of you probably think of an argument with a sibling, maybe growing up, or you think about an argument on television. Maybe some of you heard your parents argue, but usually it involves some type of fighting in two people. When we think of a career, with the word argument, we 9 times out of 10 think of a lawyer, because that's kind of who we think of as someone who would argue for a career. There are types of arguments, though, that we face on a college campus. Things like, should OBU go green? Is Wikipedia a legitimate research source? Which I'm going to go with no on that. Should credit card companies be permitted to target college students? Distance learning as effective as classroom instruction? Should dorms change the times for opposite sex visitors? These are all arguments that, in a sense, we face on a college campus. So why do you think, as an instructor or even as the administration of the school, why do we assign argumentative essays? Why do we take classes based on argument? For one thing, it encourages you guys to develop and defend a position on a topic. So just like we're doing with this research paper over these 3 weeks, we're working to try to develop and defend an opinion on a topic. Whatever that topic may be, having an opinion and being able to support that opinion with some good research and good evidence. Another reason why it's important to assign them is to help you learn to look closely at your ideas and other people's ideas. And this goes back a little bit to that when we talked about cultural myths at the first part of this class, and we talked about looking at kind of other people's opinions and not just focusing on yours. And while you don't necessarily have to change your views, just being broad-minded enough to see other people's ideas out there. Also, when we assign an argumentative essay, we're giving students the tools they need to convince others of the validity of their ideas. So this is kind of a combination of the previous 2 points. You want to be able to defend or express your opinions or your views on an issue in the best way possible, and that is often done through an argumentative essay. Finally, you're also going to learn how to mediate or resolve conflicting points of view. So when you think about an issue and it has different points of view, by working together, working on this assignment, and working on an argumentative essay, you're looking at different points of views and able to resolve them to come up with what you believe your point of view is. So when we think about an argument, it is not a quarrel. It is not a spin or propaganda. And so when I say quarrel, I mean a fight like you have with your sister or your brother. It is not a he said, she said, or a fight like that. It's not spin or propaganda where it's a sales pitch trying to convince you of a certain thing. And it's not a contradiction of someone else's position. A lot of times we think of it that way. Some of you guys may have been in debate in high school. It's not necessarily trying to contradict someone else's opinion. It's just trying to present your own opinion and explain why you believe that. There's a difference between formal and informal arguments. Informal arguments are what we normally think of, like we were just talking about, verbal fights in everyday life that tend to stem from emotions. So these are the fights you have with your parents, with your siblings, with your roommate, with your friends. They usually stem from an emotional point of view. Whereas a formal argument is based on facts and support, and it's very logical between a particular viewpoint and what the evidence is you have to support it. And so a formal argument is what you're writing when you write these academic papers. It should not be based solely on emotion. Now, sometimes we put some emotion in there, especially in the intro and conclusion, to try to pull a little bit on people's heartstrings, but the essence and the body of that argument needs to be a logical explanation. So some things that someone does who's writing this argumentative or persuasive paper. You're going to present the issue, okay, whatever it is, whether you're going to be talking about the model family, whether you're talking about immigration, whichever one you picked, you're going to present that issue. You're going to present a clear, unequivocal position. That's your thesis. It has to have an opinion. What is the opinion? And then you're going to argue directly for that position, okay? So whichever side you pick, whatever thing you try to argue, you need to argue for that. And when I teach this course over the semester, a lot of times I will have students pick, half the students will defend one topic and the other half will do the opposite. And it doesn't mean you have to agree with the side. You do not have to agree necessarily with even the argument you're giving in this paper, but you need to be able to present it and defend it. Counter-argue objections and opposing positions. We're not going to get too far into this as far as writing a paper, but some of you may have done this in the past where you take one paragraph out of your paper and you basically tell the reasons why the other side is popular, why the other side is something that would be used or known, and then you counter that with why you do not believe it to be true. You want to make sure you've established credibility. One of the best ways we do this in this type of class is through our sources. By using good, credible, knowledgeable sources, we establish credibility. So those are all kind of the things we talk about as far as an argument and as far as an argumentative essay is concerned. So hopefully this gives you a little bit better of idea of why you are writing an argumentative paper, as well as some of the things that you have to have in it. So in the assignment you have that's due on Friday, where you're writing a short argument, what I'm looking for in that is basically one of your body paragraphs that you're going to include in your research paper. What is one of the specific points that you're using to support your argument, and what have you found, what research and support, credible information have you found to help me believe that side of your opinion?